Hi everyone. I actually didn't know what I was going to speak about today till about half an hour ago. So I'm going to try and shoot from the heart, but I did make some notes here. First, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. It's been an amazing experience being a part of the Boost Collaborative with everyone. Thanks for introducing me. My name's Dezeray. I'm a peer educator with the West Shore AVI team. About 2 years ago, February would be 2 years ago, I found myself at their clinic as a patient. Have struggled with drug use over 10, 15 years, and it was time to make a change. I was surprised and delighted with their low barrier, genuine and caring approach to OAT. I had accessed that type of care before, or tried to, through my general family doctor, and failed several times. At this particular time in my life was very difficult. Was facing losing my children, my job, my home, and when everyone else in my life was shutting me out and turning me away, the staff and volunteers at AVI welcomed me with open arms. I finally felt at home. It was somewhere that I could go that I wasn't judged. It was safe, and they would meet me where I was at. It was just to keep me safe and alive, not to necessarily get me clean or sober. Just here's a cup of coffee and a hug, and that was it for me. I was hooked. Going to AVI became my new high. I stopped in to visit as much as possible and started developing relationships with the staff there and other patients. Eventually, a job opportunity presented itself as a peer support worker. Now, a year later, here I am. Never would have thought. As a peer support worker at the West Shore AVI, one of the things that we do that came up a lot today, besides the word peer, was support and the human relationships and building those relationships with people. We run a couple of support groups. One of them is a peer support group, which that's it. It's full stop. There is for people who have used or use drugs. You don't have to be sober to come to the group. You don't have to be wasted to come to the group. It's 2 hours. It's open style. We do a lot of education and training. We try and do a mix of that and some fun stuff. So we've done naloxone training. We've played board games. We've done breathing exercises and other types of just coping mechanisms. Sometimes we've just sat around and drank coffee for 2 hours and shot the shit, so to speak, which is, sometimes you need to relearn how to just have fun or to just hang out with other people that are your peers without the use of drugs. And to be able to do that at your doctor's office or at a clinic it's more than wraparound care there. And I know for certain that the support group is just as beneficial for me and my sobriety, my family, my heart, as it is for the participants that come. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just need to get organized here. First of all, apparently I have no disclosures. So I'll start with that. Seems pretty simple. What? That went ahead. I'm not, okay, right. So first of all, I want to start by thanking Rolando for having me here today and for keeping the family picture alive through the two Boost collaboratives, the one in Vancouver and the provincial one. I've been on the working committee, but I haven't, been able to be here in person until today. So I wanted to make the point that Rolando has been very, very kind in to me and to the families that I represent in Parents Forever. I'm just going to skip over that one because I'm going to refer to it after. So I am, as it says, a mother with lived experience. I have 2 boys. The youngest is 41. He's 18 years sober, but unfortunately 2.5 years ago he had a very bad accident where he fell off a 3-story building in Toronto. It was on the news. And we were kind of back to square one in the sense that he was on morphine and has been for 2 years. He's just now transferring to OAT, and we're having a bit of a rough ride, or he's having a bit of a rough ride. He lives in Toronto, and we have a very good relationship, and I try not to manage what he needs to do and stay in my lane. And that's after 19 years of Parents Forever, which is a group I started 19 years ago. And you'll see the information that's up here. It's a support group for families, for parents and family members that are supporting a loved one with substance use. And we have 356 people that I stay in touch with on a regular basis. We meet every second week, and we get about 15 to 20 people out. We're a program of Vancouver Coastal Health, and we're managed by the Boys and Girls Club of South Coast, BC. So going back to the objectives of what I want to talk about today, I really wanted to, and I've been practically begging to come here and talk about this, is the importance of asking family members, when you interact with them, when they're involved, what kind of support they need. And I just learned this recently this year, in their own right. So, and what that looks like when they come to Parents Forever is they're affected emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially. And often it's the gas tank is empty. They're pretty much at the end of the road, and they're looking for support for themselves. Unfortunately, it's not at the beginning of the journey, which I hope they would arrive at sooner, but they come to us when they're at the end of the road. So they feel overwhelmed. They often feel guilty. On that roller coaster, they're feeling helpless and alone, and of course, they're worried about the future. So what do we feel that parents need in order to cope and to get control back of their own lives? And a way to stay connected, so not, giving ultimatums, but to stay strong and resilient and hopeful. We believe it's a family recovery toolkit, and I really like the idea of the toolkit, because what happened with my son, I went to the cupboard and got the toolkit out so that I could understand what was my involvement in his recovery and what was on his list. So the toolkit is made up of education, it's made up of ongoing support, and in Parents Forever, we offer it in many different ways. We have a small lending library, we have 3 tables of resources, we have speakers, we have one that's coming tomorrow night. This is what a typical Parents Forever agenda looks like, and I say typical because it's been the same agenda for 19 years. But people know what to expect, and the emphasis is on the practical. So the problem-solving part of the meeting is looking at what are the day-to-day issues that they're facing and trying to help with some strategies and, as they say, some new coping skills. So I think in order for support to exist in the community, I really believe that service providers or agencies, if there is the need for the support of families and parents, that they can mentor folks that want to start a support group. I know I've been mentioning Parents Forever and it's in Vancouver, but I traveled through the province this year, Prince George, Fort St. John, Campbell River, Powell River. I have to say I found little or no support for families in their own right. I met a couple of individuals that were trying to do it on their own with sort of the coffee can, and I tried to help with some guidance as to how they could set it up and remain sustainable. Because once you start supporting people, you don't want to walk away. So I'm just here to say that folks need that toolkit, and they need it because it's a lifelong journey. We're in recovery as parents and family members. I believe I'm in recovery for the rest of my life, and I need that toolkit. So please, if you have the opportunity, and you can refer people if there are groups in your community, or you'd like to support somebody who'd like to start one, and you can always send them on to me. They can call me, they can look up our website. So I'll leave you with that thought.
Oh, hi. I'm Deb Bailey. I wanted to, first of all, just give a really big thank you to all the Boost participants, collaborators, and staff, planners, organizers. I want to thank you for standing up and doing the important work. Thanks for treating people struggling with addiction as people. Thanks for caring enough to spend your time traveling here, staying here. And as representing, I think, the families who have a loved one struggling, your assistance is maybe more important than you may realize, and I hope I'll get to that. As this is the end of this set of Boost meetings, I wanted to highlight the impact of what you do. And I think maybe it's more important than you have imagined or ever heard about. So I mixed my papers up, but that's okay. My daughter, Ola, was on Suboxone tried to be on Suboxone for quite a long time. So we got her to be on Suboxone after a hospital stay, and I can't be sure, but I think there's a good possibility that she might have be living today if the path to OAT hadn't been impeded by various systems and regulations that were created barriers in 2015. Ola, her dad, and I were a bit ahead of the curve in being prescribed Suboxone thanks to a really knowledgeable doctor at the hospital. And after a 5-week stay with a life-threatening blood infection brought on by IV drug use, Ola was given Suboxone. And the carries that she was given were managed by us, and I think we all assumed that things would carry on, as they had been. But this made sense to us because we had helped her with her various challenges that she had been born with. Prior to her hospital stay, she tried to go on to a methadone program twice. And when that didn't work out for various reasons, she purchased methadone from her friends who were stable and able to get carries. She knew about Suboxone, but at that time methadone was the first choice. So she was prescribed Suboxone, and it was working out for her. However, once she came out of the hospital, she had to see the community addiction doc, who was to continue the Suboxone prescriptions, and with no explanation, after 7 weeks, he just discontinued the carries and required DWI. We were surprised because she'd had 3 orthopedic surgeries. She walked with a limp and a cane, and she had a 4th one on the horizon. Yeah, we went back and forth with him over this, and finally he prescribed carries again for 3 more weeks, but this time he made my husband and I go and pick them up every day. We weren't sure why, but we would have done that forever, but without warning we were kind of cut off. But if I knew then what I know now, I would have fought a lot harder on her behalf, because what I came to observe was this very simple rubric. On Suboxone, no overdoses. Off Suboxone, overdoses. So simply put, here was a willing client, she wanted to be on Suboxone, a supportive family, a medication that was helping. So why would we block the path to someone when there was a plan that was working in this incredibly dangerous time. That's what was happening in 2015. That's what happened to us, unfortunately. So I thought, well, how are we doing in 2019 with you folks online and doing really such great and needed work? But we have a ways to go. I was listening, or I was reading a conversation on one of the support sites that I was on for mums in BC, mums and dads in BC, and I came across this conversation, and at the end of it, I told them, I'm going to bring that conversation. I'm going to bring it to Boost because they're going to be interested to hear what you have to say. So this is how it started in October from one mum. She says, I'm still in the place where my kid will just get the Suboxone pill from someone else since he is going away and can't get caries. It's also messed up. That's not what she really said, but is this tool of any use at all on this front? I'm wondering, can I get a supply of Suboxone for him? Has anybody done that? Somebody else replies to her, well, we can have women who walk in space, create incredible prosthetic devices, and pay sports icons millions, but we can't organize a simple pharmaceutical transfer from town to city to country? Crazy. Another mom says, well, my son gets his from other people because he's supposed to go daily. It's unjustified. Either he means to go to get there, skips a day from being dope sick because he just couldn't get there, and then gets cut off for not coming in. They cut him off more times than not. Another mom says, I can totally relate. My son is going to get back on Suboxone tomorrow. In the meantime, I think he's using heroin until he gets started. Really wants to get it right this time, but this is his third time on Suboxone. They make it so difficult to have any kind of normal life when they have to go every day. My son, another mom, got a 2-week carry for his holiday. From what I understand, though, is that his doctor has gotten to know him over the last year and a half and totally trusts him. It did take 8 months before he got a weekly carry out. The processes and regulation are time-consuming and inconvenient. My son just kept telling himself that his daily pharmacy visit was a good reminder of where he was and where he is now. So glad he kept positive. Another mom, my son has been on and off methadone for probably a year, but he always goes to the same clinic for the prescriptions. The problem was that he was always hit and miss with the pharmacy, and then he would have to start again back at 40 and still have to go and use, and then he'd get frustrated. He went back on a few months ago, but he couldn't get caries. And then he heard about somebody who had a family member hold the caries, so he asked his doctor. Now the caries are given to me, so this is his mom, once a week. On the same day, he has a witness dosed. It's working out very well. I drive right past his place on my way home from work. I told him that before I agreed that it will still be a witness dosed every day, but it will be by me. So far, so good. For the first time, he's trying to get a dose so that he doesn't have to use anything else. It's making a big difference for both of us. And then the first mom comes back the next day, the one that wanted to know if she get caries, and she says, I asked my doctor if I could get Suboxone caries. Guess what? She doesn't know what Suboxone is. So we still have a ways to go. So I'm glad you folks are all knowledgeable, and I hope that your knowledge will ripple out to other people and help inform them, because it, as we've heard and as you've seen and shown us, it makes this incredible difference. But I want to give you one more reason. It's something I don't usually share. But here it is. I want to give you one more reason, probably thousands of more reasons for why you do what you do. A mom posted a text from her son on the same site, and the text said, Hi Mom, I'm alive, just waking up. It may be hard to imagine that a cryptic message like that your kid could post would be the high point of your day. But I can tell you that that's a message that I would love to hear. So the other thing to remember in this powerful work is that you have the potential to save the life of someone suffering from addiction, but you can also change and influence the trajectory of so many more lives who are attached to that individual, even though you may never know them or you may never meet them. In 1 month, it will be 4 years since the day my daughter was found overdosed and alone in a stairwell in an apartment building, all of her stuff stolen. She was going Christmas shopping, she told us. We couldn't be notified until the 24th because the person who stole her stuff that was with her, she wasn't using alone, stole all her stuff, which included her ID and her phone and everything. So by the time she was identified, even though we were looking for her, it was the 24th of December. So that's how, on the afternoon of the 24th in 2015, we were at the morgue at VGH, holding my daughter's very cold hand. So now my life is forever divided into two parts, before and after. I don't think there's a greater pain for a human being than to lose a child. I've experienced other losses. I don't think this is a pain like any other. It's always there. It doesn't sleep. It doesn't leave. It goes everywhere with me. It's my constant companion. And my daughter flits across my mind all day long. She's always with me in one image or memory or thought. But I never know when that wave of sadness is going to crash right into me. Seeing a Miss Kitty sticker on the back of someone's car, an advertisement for girls' hockey, a smell like the perfume she used to wear, a green hair clip in the junk drawer, the sound of bagpipes, a mom and a daughter sitting at Starbucks the way we used to. It doesn't happen as much as it used to. I'm better at avoiding things. I go out less, I work more, and still, I'm more inner, less social, and sadder overall. I wish I wasn't, but there it is. That's just the way it is. Having made it through those first biting years of grief and horror, I feel a bit like I live life like a dimmer switch that only goes up halfway. It goes from dark to midway, but never more. So things like joy and peace and contentment, laughter, are dimmer and paler versions of what they once were. Life has less color, and hope, that thing with feathers as the poem goes, well, hope has totally left my building. There is no hope left, and I really miss all those things. I would really like them back, the way I once knew them. So grief doesn't get better, things just get different, and gradually I learned that my heart was not going to heal, and that instead I had to get on with things and live the best life I could with my broken one. I don't usually share my grief thoughts with people because I don't want you to feel badly for me at all. You can't. There's nothing you can do about it, really. It is what it is. But I want you to hear what you might prevent for so many others. They said, 2,300 people were on, do the math. 2,300 times two parents, times maybe the grandparents, times cousins and siblings. Do the math. It's like an enormous number of people that you might prevent this pain happening to. And that's why so many of us get involved in this kind of work. The loss of a loved one to substance use is preventable. People don't need to die because they're addicted. So, the change that you help make one person make because they stay on oat, because you called them, because you texted them, it might ripple out and touch people that you will never see or ever meet. And so I just want to thank you all again for your work and your time, and just God bless.